Hello, everyone. My name is Niall Lynch, and I'm a product owner at Web Doctor. It's a software company. Previously, I was Scrum Master at the Department of Agriculture, a contract programmer, and I was leading a team of 10 developers. And that's really how I ended up going to the IMI. I was in a leadership role there, trying to manage 10 people, and I didn't really have any formal kind of training or education in how to deal with people, in a kind of leadership role. And the IMI, this course in organizational behavior, seemed to tick the boxes in terms of that. So that's how I ended up doing the course. And what I really loved about the course immediately, was struck about it, was that there's a lot of psychology involved in it. There's a whole new science area that I didn't know anything about, and it was very interesting. And as Anna was saying, you're learning how people interact with each other and how you behave. And was introduced to writers like Robert Cialdini and his weapons of influence. And we are always conscious of that throughout the course, and we were thinking about how we'd apply to them in each module. I really liked the way how the course was taught. We weren't you were never thinking that, I have to study this because I need to do it for an exam, which is kind of like the normal college experience or even taught master's experience, where you're kind of studying like an MBA, you're studying for an exam that you have to get grades on. This was really practical from day one. For instance, in the decision-making module, we had to choose a decision that you may have been involved with at work or your team was involved with, and apply what we learned on the module, and how would you have approached that decision in a different way now that you knew some decision-making frameworks. And on my assignment, I actually brought that into my work and used it as a discussion point about a major decision we'd made about the choice of a technology that didn't go very well. And it was well received at work, and kind of made us rethink about how we approach those type of decisions. And it talked about the negotiation. That module was excellent, and it was kind of taught differently. We had to do role plays, and initially I was quite skeptical of role plays. I was thinking, how can I behave, act like this other person, and I have nothing, relationship to what's going on in these negotiations. But it's amazing how you become emotionally involved in these activities. And in fact, the negotiation assignment, we were filmed in a team negotiation, and you had to assess your behavior, and did you apply what you'd learned on the negotiation module, or what would you have done differently? That was really eye-opening, and just to see how you actually react in real time and how you're processing what you've learned. The organizational development module was excellent in that it opened up new ways for me of how to influence teams if something you're trying to get them to adopt something new. And I learned about the LMX, leader member exchange, in a relationship between managers and their employees, and that was really interesting. And that's something I'm conscious of all the time now. And a common thread that was going throughout all the course was self-awareness, the self-awareness module. So we had to keep a journal about our learning experience. And I know there's a huge amount of information you're being, bombarded with when you do the course, but this was a really important part where you kind of sit back and think about how am I absorbing this, and how do I feel about learning all this new information. And that was part of our assignment on self-awareness. So just even your learning experience, you're kind of aware of that, and that was brilliant. And as Anna said, we had a day with actors, and that I think that was a really important day for us, that everyone you pigeonhole yourself into your particular type of person. Well, the actors kind of gave us this feeling that actually you can do something else. You can put yourself in someone else's position. And when you're kind of managing a team of people, that's what you really need to be able to do. You need to, understand where they're coming from and where their motivations are. And that really helped me, and it continues to help me in how I deal with people. Another great thing about the course is that there's people coming from all sorts of disciplines, other environments. So I was a software developer. I was dealing with people from HR, from building industry and everything, and everyone has kind of different experiences, and we were always breaking out into discussion groups, and we kind of get really good information from other people, and you learn an awful lot. So you're not just learning the course material, you're learning from the other course participants. And the workload is manageable, and because you're applying it to your real work, I found that's how you felt really engaged with it, and it didn't feel like a chore having to do this stuff because it was relating to your actual work. On my career, I felt it really improved how I, understood my fellow employees, and I could interact with people better in different levels of the organization. And I changed my job since I was doing the course. I'm still in the kind of agile methodology framework for software development. So I'm at a different position in that organization now. But I think what I learned still is applicable in how I relate to other people in the organization. So I'd highly recommend the course to anyone who does feels that they need to get more out on how they can interact with their fellow employees, not just in management, but just in to develop your own career. So that's about it. That's my experiences there.